So even if you take the risk, you are not getting any credit for it, and actually it becomes a constraint on your growth.
Let me ask you a question. If it had been the reverse situation in your life, and that is you had started a company, your husband was not involved in the company, maybe he was a stay-at-home dad or had another business and another training, and you suddenly passed away and left this vision and little else, do you think that people would have said the same to your husband? You're crazy, how can you take over your wife's business?
No, they wouldn't, and I think that's the difference.
So it's people's attitude towards women executives.
Absolutely. Means I do feel what I have accomplished, if it was a guy in my place, he would have done much, much better than what I have been able to.
You think that, or you think people think that?
I think that.
You think that?
That I would have, if there was a guy in my place, he would have done much better than what I have been able to. Because when women take those kind of risks, there is a very little support or encouragement from the financial community or from the banks and whatnot. So that becomes the really restricting factor, not women's aspirations in the risk taking, but it is the environment outside which is not supporting those risk takers.
There is far less media coverage for women who start their own businesses and grow them. What you tend to see is sort of what I call the Cinderella hard luck story. So they might take a story like Radha's and say, oh, poor woman, you know, left a widow. Look how she's grown this business. And it would be sort of poor Cinderella from mopping the floors. Finally, she
owns the castle.
Right, own the castle. But what you don't see are the more standard stories of, I decided I'm going to start this business. Here's my career. You know, Shirley's career, 10 years in IT before she starts her own firm. And look how she's turned it into a public company, and look how they couldn't even let her leave. She was so valuable. But you don't tend to see a lot of media coverage of that. The research is really clear on that. One of my colleagues has called it invisible entrepreneurs. Women are invisible entrepreneurs. They're not as widely covered in the business media. And that then has sort of a ripple effect. The bankers think, well, you know, not as interesting a company. Maybe I shouldn't take her call. And so they are less likely to give it credence that this is a valid business idea that should get support. And that just sort of ripples around. So that's a problem.
This excerpt is brought to you by the Massachusetts School of Law, the leader of reform in legal education and a leader in multimedia education for the public. To view the full interview and for a full listing of MSL's programs, log on to mslaw.edu.